Hi guys, today will be part 5 of our Nintendo 64 RetroPie project, and I know in the previous video I said that we'll be getting towards the actual tearing down and modifying of the N64 itself in this video, but that's not actually the case. I want to go back through and retouch on some of the config files that we've gone through in previous videos because some have changed significantly, and for those of you who might be trying to follow along, I figured I better provide an accurate representation of the config files that I have at the moment. So we're going to start off with the overclock config, and so when I started, this is what we had for an overclock, just these nice, to the point config setups, and now it's more elaborate. Like I set all of this stuff up, so not really a whole lot has changed. There's just a lot of additions. Like arm frequency is still 1372. Over voltage I stepped up to 6. I set a temp limit of 80. That way it'll throttle itself down and won't really overheat too much. Core frequency I did change to 525 from 550, and the reason was so that I could get a better overclock on the SD card reader. So in order to overclock your SD card reader, it has to be a perfect divisor of what the core frequency is. And so I couldn't get 100 or better at 550. I think it was like 7580 or something like that was the highest I could get if I kept the core frequency at 550. So I took it down to 525. I feel like that's a pretty good trade-off, being that I get right around a 25% increase of read speed on my SD card now. GPU-based stuff, I changed GPU memory down a little bit just to give the processor a bit more RAM to play with, and there's some other settings here, and I'm going to put all of the settings in this video down below in the video description so you guys can copy them over and do what you need to do with them. I also said in the previous video that I was not going to be touching the SD RAM frequency because that was just too much to test. That wasn't the case either. I bumped it from 450 to 588. And again, I'm getting a 25% increase in read speed, so I'm very happy with that. And then there's a bunch of other junk in here. So, and then we'll go on to our joystick settings. So, I know we did the JS test and JS Cal, so we could calibrate our joystick itself, and that was fine and all. The the joystick was calibrated nicely. You could play games by running. You can have Link run, actually, with the joystick calibrated. However, you had to run that every time you started the Pi. It didn't just save that setting. So, after you set it, if you then do JS-cal-p, and I don't know why I'm actually doing this in a terminal, let's do it in Pluma. Okay, so if you did JS-cal-p /dev/input/JS0, same thing as before, and then do this little greater than symbol that tells the terminal that you want to store the output into a text file. And then we put that in opt RetroPie configs N64 and name it N64-config.sh and hit enter. And it will give you a file similar to this, where it would just give you this line here, the JSCal line, and then you want to make this file an executable file, so you put !/bin/bash. On the next line, sleep 1 is to tell it to wait a second before it runs, and then that only sets it up for one joystick. And on the Mayflash for the N64 controllers, there's 2. So we'll just copy this line and paste it, and then change the 0 to a 1. So we have joystick 0 and joystick 1. So you'll be able to play 2-player games. And okay, so from there you want to make that an executable file. So then back in your terminal you would do sudo chmod +x and then the name of the file and hit enter, and that'll make the file itself executable. So back in your terminal then you want to go ls USB. It'll show all of the USB devices hooked up to your Raspberry Pi, and this is my main PC, not the Raspberry Pi, so it's not going to look like this at all. But what you want to look for is something similar to this with Green Asia ink. Like these are Intel, Linux, AS Media, whatever. Look for Green Asia ink, and you want to remember the two numbers right before it, the 0E8 and the 3013 for the next step. And the next step is to create a rule on the Raspberry Pi, and you would go to sudo nano as a text editor. Sudo elevates privileges so you can actually read, write, and save. Sudo nano etc udev rules.d, and then the file name will be 60-n64 rules, and you want to put this line in there, adders id vendor equals, and this is the first number that you remembered from before, and then adders id product equals 3013 was the second number, and run opt RetroPie configs n64 n64 config.sh, and that is the config file that you just created. And once you've done all of that, then your joystick will be calibrated automatically every time you plug it in or start the Pi. So that is a handy feature. You don't have to recalibrate it every time. And so the next thing we're going to look at is video settings. Let me close some of this stuff. So the first thing we're going to do is go to sudo nano opt RetroPie configs n64 mupin64plus.cfg, and that will be this file. We need to verify the video plugin is mupin64plus-video-rice.so. So we can just search for that in the terminal. You would hit Control W to open your search box. I'm not in the terminal, so I'm just going to use, search right here in Pluma. And you can type in video plugin and hit enter, and it'll take you right to it. And you can see that mine already is mupin64 plus video-rice.so. I'm pretty sure that was the default, and if it is, then you can continue on. If not, then Control XY enter to save and exit, and then re-nano right back into the mupin64plus.cfg. And we need to change all of these settings within this config file. FrameBufferWriteBackControl to 1, ScreenUpdateSetting to 7, etc. And again, Control W, type in the first several characters and hit enter to search for them and change the settings that way. I'm not actually going to go through that because I've already done so. And again, I will put all of my settings in the video description below so that it'll be easy access for you guys. And so the next thing we have to look at is opt RetroPie configs all retroarch.cfg, and it'll be a file that looks like this. And all we're going to do is scroll down a couple of lines and look for video frame delay, and we want to set our video frame delay to 5. This will help prevent some lag within the N64 emulator, and also yours will probably be commented out, so make sure you delete that pound symbol, and Control XY enter, and then from there we go to sudo nano opt RetroPie configs all retroarch control options.cfg, and here real simple. We're just going to look for Mupin GFX plugin and verify that it is rice. And then if it's not, change it to rice, and Control XY, enter to save and exit. And if it is, just Control X will exit. And that's it. That's all of the updates for the config files that I have, and I'm very satisfied with them. I get pretty much no lag anymore. There's no stuttering. The video quality is great. The audio quality is great. I'm pretty sure these are going to be my settings for a long time, unless they decide to grade RetroPie again and screw everything all over on me. This is what they're going to be. So I hope I helped clarify anything for you guys, and if this helped you out in any way, please like and subscribe. If not, don't. Either way, feel free to leave some comments, and I will see you guys in future videos.